Boy, can I help you?
Listen up. I'm bringing you the best content to ever exist in the door-to-door industry, from sales, leadership, recruiting, and personal development.
Why would I need that?
Because never before have we been able to collaborate with the top experts in their industries, sharing their secrets and techniques on what makes them the best.
Wait, who are you?
I'm your host, Sam Taggart, creator of the D2D Experts and D2D Con. Is there a place we can sit down?
Well, come on in.
Register today for D2D Con, January 10th through 12th. Learn from over 40 amazing speakers, including the real Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. Come as a team, learn as a team, leave as a tribe.
Hey everybody, this is Sam Taggart, your host with the D2D Podcast, and I'm here with Kip Lambert, who is the brand ambassador of Destinations Inc., or just Destinations.
Destinations,
and you can probably tell by the name, it is a destination company. It is how to get trips, experiences, vacations for yourself, for your team, for your company, for your, if it's 5,000 people or if it's 2, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, so he has been, it's a family-owned business, it sounds like, right?
Right.
And you had to start knocking doors, basically. Your dad didn't give you the free ride. He's like, all right, I'll just make you president. Like, he didn't do that.
No, he did not.
So it started back in 1989?
Yep.
89?
My dad started our company back in 1989 as Destinations. Before that, he was with my grandpa at Beehive Travel, which was a big, old-school travel agency. And, so when I started in the year 2000, I was doing, I was minimum wage, and I would go door to door selling cruises and tours and different things. So that door to door world is really, really familiar to me. I was just at a time where the internet hadn't quite taken over the travel space like it has with the Pricelines and the Orbitses of the world.
Well, I'm sure you've had to adapt or die, right? It's
and so, really we just changed the model of our business where, we've always done incentive travel for companies, but we kind of had to, get rid of that traditional travel agency mode just because it just wasn't profitable. It was really hard to...
Yeah, you can go Expedia and figure out a flight.
But creating, really what we love is creating experiential travel rewards for companies that want to incentivize their sales teams to really move the needle on getting more sales, because when they get out on a trip, that's one thing. You've provided an awesome experience for them to be able to travel with their loved one or with a spouse, but our goal is to take that from that level of just taking the trip to a beautiful location, an awesome hotel, but it's also a chance to create an experience that those attendees aren't expecting. What we love, Ireland is a great example. In Ireland, we with one company we created a medieval dinner where the night before everybody got an invitation to come down to their gala event, and they were told to come down at a certain time to be fitted for their medieval clothing.
That's
so
awesome.
Everybody would go down. They got different costumes. You had everything from monks to buccaneers, just other people just dressed in period clothing. And then that evening, everybody gathered in this castle with a beautiful table setting.
Big mugs, I'm assuming?
Big mugs, washing your hands in like a solution of lemon and other things. And then you've got a roaring fire happening in a gigantic fireplace.
Did you get a big chicken leg? That's what I imagine. It's just this fat leg.
Definitely a part of that. And then you have, different people come out, different actors that create different vignettes that just really pull the crowd into that experience. And so, taking the trip, that's step number one. And if anybody's already doing that, you're already way ahead of the game, because creating, giving a trip or is giving people an experience that won't soon be forgotten. Cash is one of those things where everybody loves a cash reward, but what do you remember?
Yeah,
what
it's
you
like
spent.
How many pairs of shoes or gift cards have I got? And it just, half the gift cards are still sitting in my drawer right now.
Exactly.
And it's like, can't remember who gave it to me, but it's like those times when the company was like, hey, we're going to Nepal. It's like, wait, we're going to Nepal? We're going to Ghana? You know what I mean? It's like I can never take that back. I mean, it's just embedded. It's always remembered. It was something I would have never done on my own, but because the company
right, and they definitely connect that experience between with the people that they went on the trip with the company that provided it. It definitely creates a system of loyalty that is from just an emotional place, because you shared an experience in a location that's unforgettable. And once you've created that shared experience, it just goes way beyond really anything that a cash reward can do.
Yeah, so I'm excited to dive into some of the principles of like the psychology of gifting trips, creating trips. We were talking off camera a little bit about some of these principles that you've embedded into your culture within your company and try to preach to those of your clients and whatnot. Super excited to have you at Door to Door Con, by the way. You're
thanks.
definitely one of the fun vendors that are there, unique. We tried to find people that were like, how do we add value to the attendees, right? And we figured, hey, this was a perfect match, because a lot of times it's like, yeah, we have an accountant, or yeah, we have financial planners, but I'm like, this is like, how do you become a culture within your company, whether you're a 5-man company or a 5,000-man company, and I think just having you there, we're super excited just because we know for the end user, it's like important.
Yeah, we're excited to be there too. We really feel like it brings a ton of value to, the culture of a company to create an experiential travel reward. But really the number one reason for doing it is to boost sales.
Yeah.
And it really is a rocket booster. I mean, again, it's just it just definitely creates another level of it hits on all the different points that people want to do. It's going to drive sales. It's going to increase retention. Some of these really good salespeople, they can cut it doing solar. They can cut it doing pest control, roofing, whatever, you name it. You get somebody that's really good, it may not matter what product they're selling, they can sell. And so if you're the company that's not only providing a great environment to work, a great culture, but also is creating and providing experiences for people, I think that's another level that you can retain just the very best.
Yeah, and in this industry, it's a talent acquisition industry, and it's like, one, you're either attracting through creating experiences. When a guy comes home from this dope trip and he's telling all of his buddies, and they're like, my company doesn't do that, or you know what I mean? Or I'm working at some 2-week vacations and you just went to Bali for a month? Like,
exactly.
What? Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, what do you do? One, it creates this recruiting aspect of like attraction, and two, it's kind of like, why, like you said, it's this connection of like emotional tie down that is it's tough to want to go anywhere else when you've provided this value. So I kind of want to, I guess, first off, I want to talk about this whole epic principle that you were talking about, that it's like, how do you create an epic experience as a company? Because I think a lot of people, in my opinion, it's like, great, here's a trip. Here's a cruise, here's a $500 gift voucher, travel voucher. Yeah. And it's like, that's the gift. And I'm like, do you even think they're even going to go plan the cruise to even take the $500 travel voucher or the $1,000 travel voucher? It's like, here's some flight points. It's like, that's one thing. But it's like, how do we as a company or a leader, a manager, create an epic experience to get the $1,000 to give me a $10,000 return?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a great point. It's a great question. Epic is typically a term sometimes you hear from teenagers or maybe from that stone surfer dude.
It's epic, man.
This is totally
rad.
Epic. And it's really it's an acronym that we use because EPIC for us at Destinations really stands for the principles used in creating powerful moments. And it's not our own. We pulled it from a book called The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. I totally recommend this book because using the EPIC formula, you can use it in creating an experiential travel reward as part of an incentive program for a company. But we should also be using it to plan Christmas right now for our kids, for our families. We can use the EPIC principles in creating better relationships with our spouses and other things. And so it is just one of those, it's just a formula that can be used in planning awesome events for people. So what where do we start, right? So
E,
epic.
yeah.
E stands for moments of elevation. It's the moments where you break the script. So if you're thinking of Christmas morning for your family, how has it gone? What's the script for that? For me, the kids line up and they head down to the basement where our Santa's brought their presents, and we go and tear into it, and that's kind of the script, right? So if I'm looking to create an elevated experience for my kids at Christmas time, I need to think of what the current script is and how I can change that up.
Yeah, flip it upside down. Like, flip the script.
It could be changing the location. It could be the type of presents that are given. It could be an experience where we go outside, and if it snowed, taking a break and shoveling the walk for that old lady down the street that just needs that. There's those sorts of experiences that we could flip it on its head. So in incentive travel, creating those experiential travel rewards, if you're just giving the trip and it's just a place where people land, they go to Puerto Vallarta, they go to the hotel, and that's just what's expected, that's their script, that's fine.
Yeah, we're going to go to Puerto Vallarta, we're going to go to the beach, we're going to surf, we're going to hang out, maybe to have some drinks. But and that's expected, right?
Right. So breaking the script here. So we've helped companies do a Dia de los Muertos party, where everybody is asked to dress in all white. We have performers that come. Some of them have fire knives. They're dressed up and with painted skulls, kind of like you see in the Dia de los Muertos ofrendas. We have a DJ dressed up the same way, stilt walkers that come walking through the event. And all of this is happening on the beach while we're all sharing an awesome Mexican-inspired meal in Puerto Vallarta. So it's taking elements of the location, elements of the culture, and then the time of year that this event happened, and fusing them all together into breaking the script of a typical event. So that's one, that's E. That's creating an elevated experience that has an element of surprise to it, that really takes it to that next level.
Which is interesting. So we were talking earlier of applying this even to a door approach, this whole epic framework, because you said you had the window cleaner knock on your door,
yeah.
And this elevated experience is he already had half the window clean. He's like, hey, I already got the half done. Let me see your shoe, and that was his opener, right? And it's like, what? Versus, hi, I'm Sam. I'm here with the window cleaner. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that's the script that every customer is assuming is going to be knocking on their door. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, like, what? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I think as we go through this framework and you're listening to this, like we talked about, it can be applied to so many different principles of parenting, to door approach, to running your team culture, your sales meeting. The script is like, we get up there, motivate, hey. It's like, how do we elevate it, right?
Yeah,
so
totally.
Cool. Sorry, but P.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so P is moments of pride. It's creating moments where people feel at their very best. And I think that when you're talking door to door or any type of sales culture, you're trying to give them another level of recognition. So you have your
Golden Door Awards.
You have your Golden Door Awards at D2DCon. That's one way to recognize. In creating an event, creating a moment of pride might be recently in Thailand, taking a group of people just on a whim. Hey, nearby the hotel, we have this bungee jumping experience. We're not forcing anybody into it, but anybody that wants to go, I'm going to pay for your bungee jumping. And so we go to this place. We get people to sign up. You can tell people are just like shaking and they're jittery. And you can see as a part of a video we have on our website for our Thailand trip, people raving about that experience, and it actually is a moment of pride because there was an element of courage people had to have really brought out in themselves to be able to accomplish being able to jump off a platform, 100 meters down. And that was an awesome experience for those that went because they felt that level of pride in themselves that they could do something that they didn't think they would do. So many people take those skydiving or those other experiences. Those are moments of pride because we're caught doing something that is out of our comfort zone. So recognition is one way, and then also creating an experience where people are brought, where an element of courage is required to.
Yeah, it's kind of like I felt accomplished. I'm rewarded. I'm recognized. I'm appreciated. I'm, something that, hits that like love language essentially.
Totally. Yeah. So that's moments of pride. And I think adding any of those elements to an event, or, you know, anything that we do when we create a team meeting or something in the office, it's an element that should be added to every event, I think, that we can. So.
And then the I.
Yeah, I being moments of insight. Moments of insight are, you know, when we discover or just it's a moment where you maybe discover the truth for yourself about a principle or something that you should do. So in D2D Con, it could be going to a breakout session, and maybe there's that hot new sales guy that is doing a lot of things right but doesn't understand certain sales aspects. And he gets in the room with somebody that is a trained professional that just knows all the ins and outs of sales, and that particular person tends to say something where maybe that salesperson heard it before from somebody else, but because that person said it in that certain way,
and in that environment,
and in that setting, they were able to go, wow.
It landed.
Like it really hit home. So an example for us in creating an experience on a trip would be, another experience in Thailand is we took everybody on the trip out to plant rice. And a lot of people are like, on the trip, are like, we're gonna go plant rice. Like, seriously? So we got dressed up in full tie.
Did you have the hats?
We had the hats. We had the rubber boots up to our knees, and we sloshed around for an hour planting rice. And we had somebody there that took us through the whole process of what it is like to plant rice. We were bent over, for hours. We're bent over for hours, but the workers that do it every day
You appreciated it. Rice in a new level.
So exactly. So then they take us to another area where they show us how rice is then harvested and then brought to market. And it was such an eye-opener for everybody on such a basic thing. So later on in the evening when we're eating our dinner and there's a little helping of rice, just about everybody in the group made a comment of, wow, I know what it now takes
to get that bowl.
To get that rice all the way to my plate. The appreciation for these wonderful people that are bent over all day long planting rice, the ways that they harvest it, created a level of insight for them that they didn't have previously. And hopefully, when they're home preparing meals for their family and rice is a part of the menu, they're then sharing with their children what it takes to plant and harvest rice.
Nugget.
Super
And that
cool.
takes, but I mean, I think a lot of people, it goes to a lazy leader versus an effective leader, right? It's kind of like, that took planning, that took thought. Like, what's the outcomes that'll naturally come from the free energy of doing an experience that involves an insight? You know what I mean?
Right.
If you plan out, you say, look, here's the desired outcomes of this whole rice experience. Obviously, things are going to pop for different people, but it's like, had you just said, hey, we're going to Thailand and this is going to go to the beach all day, like, there's a different level, and it was probably pulling teeth to kind of almost be like, guys, we're going to go plant rice, and everybody's like, really? But then coming home, they're like, thank you for forcing us and pushing us, taking us off the beach to go do that.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those events, or the parts of the event that had people talking, had them, reminiscing at the very end, just in asking them, what was your favorite part? And riding elephants and doing the bungee jumping and seeing your first Buddhist temple and being, having that cultural immersion. Those were all things people talked about, but the planting of the rice, of having that moment of insight, was definitely one of the more popular activities of the event.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I just went to Asia for a month, and yesterday I was at my parents' house, and they were asking, like, what was your favorite part, and this and that. And one of the highlights of the trip was getting on a scooter that we rented, driving into the rice fields, and just getting lost. I took a wrong turn.
Yeah,
cool. And I was just like, where the heck are we? You know what I mean? I was like, babe, I think we're 10 minutes in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But then I was like, wait a minute, let's just embrace this for a minute, because we're in the neighborhoods of, like, the true villagers, where it's like no tourist would ever go. And I was like, wow, this is like how they live, and this is like where it all comes from. And it's like, they don't, they hide all this from the tourists, and it's like, we're now in it. And I was like, let's just sit and soak this in for a minute. And it's like, my mom asking me yesterday, I was just like, yeah, really, that was probably one of the most insightful moments. And it was not even by design. It was just kind of that being willing to be off the beaten path
Yeah.
and mix it up and take a second to breathe it in. And I think a lot of times it's just like, hey, everybody. And, and it was interesting. We went with the company. They invited us out there. And, I was like, what's going to be the insights in this and the experiences that they create? You know what I mean? And I was curious to see how they kind of crafted their agenda for the week. And, it was interesting how they did that. And so I think taking some thought and planning out outcomes, but also giving space for there to be birthed outcomes that maybe you aren't expecting is powerful too.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, I mean, moments of insight could then, there's another type of experience that you can plan on an event that actually takes you into C, which is the moments of connection, the last part of the formula. But it's also a moment of insight too. So you can kind of, you can almost see where if you can hit on EPIC in every single part of the planning of what you're doing, that's when you really hit the sweet spot. Like if you can hit and have one element in what you plan, that's great, but the second that we incorporate all four is when it hits hard. So the C stands for moments of connection. And one thing we love creating on these events, wherever possible, is cultural immersion in a humanitarian form, in a humanitarian part of the event. So if you're down, say in Peru, there's some amazing people down there that run orphanages that just need help year-round. And that's everything from renovating their schoolhouse to digging wells to just really a lot of the manual labor that comes from it. And so how does that form a connection? It forms a connection between you and I. So if we're working together and maybe we're doing door-to-door on that team and we're selling together, we both earn a trip. We then get to take a spouse or a partner on the trip with us, and then we land in a place like Peru. And we're able to do a connecting type event where we serve others. We're doing some manual labor where at the end, we get to see smiling faces of children that are affected by the work that we've done. That is something that creates a bond between team members and then also between executives. Hopefully they're on the trip getting their hands dirty right alongside all their top salespeople where you've had this connecting experience together. It's that human bond, that human experience that just really, whenever we serve other people, we forge a connection that just goes beyond anything that's normal. It becomes extraordinary.
No, and I've experienced that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think of I served a 2-year mission in Argentina, and it's like I look at some of those companions I had, and it's like you can speak on a different level. Or the service trips to Cuba or Ghana or Nepal, or I've been on a lot. And it's like, I look back and I'm like, we made a difference, not just I've been on countless beach trips to Mexico, and it's like, it's just another beach. But it's like, what a cool connection with a culture that I've never connected with a community of our team that now I can bond. I mean, I've witnessed that, and it's like, when I was at VP of sales at Solstice, and I was like, hey, I want to integrate this whole, charity thing. And so we planned this Cuba trip, and a lot of people weren't really behind it. And I was like, guys, this will be the best thing ever. We had probably 15, 20 people go. This year, they had probably 50 or 60 people go on their charity trip to Costa Rica. I think they just got back yesterday, but it was like one of those things. It was like they realized of how powerful that was. And then it just caught fire in the sense of, how does the whole company now get behind it?
Yeah.
And it was powerful for their unity of their company.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it really forges a different type of connection than just your typical experience. The other side that it does, even if you just do something simple and go to the beach, right? Somebody that's been working hard all year long towards that incentive, they may have somebody at home that is just looking at the clock and seeing when their spouse is getting back and it's super late. And there's just that grind, right? And it's just been happening day after day after day. And so, when we jump in and that spouse then sees their partner receiving recognition, so that goes back to P for pride.
Huge.
They see their spouse or their loved one receive that recognition on the incentive trip. they then are connected because they can see, well, all this hard work led up to coming and being
And we
able
got
to go on
to
this
go
trip.
together and spend time.
And maybe there's that romantic connection that's reforged between partners where maybe the relationship's a little bit stale.
Yeah.
But now that they get to share that special dinner in Hawaii on the beach, their relationship is just so much stronger because of this dinner that's taking place in a place that's broken that script, where it's the beach, it's Hawaii, it's an opportunity to help me remember why I love you so much, right? Like it's just creating those connections is huge, and I think that when we use that entire formula, we're just
You hit the
set
sweet
up.
spot.
Yeah, we really hit that sweet spot hard.
One more thing on connection before we kind of wrap up. I think having some craftiness to the planning, to where you're putting people in situations of connection. It doesn't have to be charity. It doesn't have to be, a romantic dinner. But it's like if you go plan a trip to Cancun, let's just say, and everybody's in their hotel rooms, but there's no way to communicate within because everybody's, we're international or whatever, and it's like we don't have it formulated to where it's like, where can I create opportunities to have my team members connect? How can I poise powerful questions to make them think and almost be the conversation starters? It's like, let's say you had a big dinner and you're like, hey, at dinner I want you to connect with two different people you don't know, and I want you to ask them these two questions. And it's like you're the one kind of conducting the connection starter, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I would have never really naturally just gone and talked to homeboy, but now I was kind of put in that situation. Now we've created a new bond that, was kind of almost forced, but now it's great.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's great. That's a great point. Creating dinners like that's a great way to do it, where you've got your different courses, and maybe you've got 4 different courses during the meal, and you just require people to move around tables. The other thing to do is to use a simple free app called 36 Questions, and this is actually a science-based app that gives you an escalating number of questions.
So it gets it's more deeper connected as it goes on?
It starts on more surface level stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's getting into, one of the questions is what is one thing that you would change about the way you were parented and why?
Wow. Yeah, questions like that.
It's maybe creating a space where you're not maybe requiring people to answer questions like that, but to give them reasons to maybe talk a little bit more to Taylor, to get to know people on a different level.
Yeah, it's be vulnerable. It's like open up.
Yeah. Instead
of being like, hey, how much you sell last year? Oh yeah, where do you live?
Yeah.
It's like that's one thing, but it's another thing to be like, yeah, like let's talk about.
Well, it's we just all experienced Thanksgiving. We got Christmas. We got family parties. Is your relationship with your uncle really that much better every year when the exchange is,
it's the same
how
exchange
you doing?
Every time?
What's going on? Who's doing this? And really there's no, it's just questions just that kind of fill the time, right?
Yep.
And then you start to find yourself talking about the weather and other things, and is that a relationship? I mean, yeah, it is because of the family connection, but if there's not an extra level of care and concern put into, these moments of connection, then relationships can stagnate.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I just want to appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I think this has been really insightful. And if you guys want to get to know, obviously, Kip, you can go to destinationinc.com and you can see their company. I mean, they're obviously a service that they provide a lot of network marketing companies, door-to-door companies, whether it's just you and your wife want to plan. I mean, I literally was like, hey, we have a cool summit coming up. So door-to-door summit in Vegas in March. And then we have, this other expert series thing. We're trying to figure out destinations. Let us know and reach out to Kip. I mean, he's definitely here to help you guys. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, we just love creating these extra level experiences. That's what it's all about. We want people to experience elevation, pride. We want them recognized. We want them to come away with insights that only travel and culture and getting out there provide. And then all that just leads to those connections and forging a better connection between two people, or between a person and a company, or a director of sales and everybody that reports to him. Connections between spouses. One of my most favorite interactions was we did an event in Europe with some people, And 2 years later, we saw them at their convention, and this gentleman came up, and he seemed like a pretty hard, kind of a hard dude, kind of a bearded guy. He was a Harley rider, and he came up to me just in tears, to me and my brother, who's my business partner, and he just said, "You guys don't know this, but 2 years ago you changed my life. I went on a trip, and me and my wife were going to plan on how we were going to split up, who's going to get the kids. We didn't want to get lawyers involved. We wanted to kind of mediate the whole thing. And when they arrived on this trip, the airline had lost their bags. And when they came to us on this cruise ship, they didn't have anything but their carry-ons, and they were bickering, and they were back and forth and mad at each other. And we could tell it was super stressful for them. And we had this little care package that had toiletries and just little things that could get them by until their bag got there. We gave them a gift card to buy a few different clothing items that would tide them over until their bags got there. Worked with the airline to get their bag to the cruise ship as quickly as we could. And then, of course, during the event, we had a lot of these types of experiences that we helped create that helped really bond, not just this couple, but the goal was everybody. And that was an awesome experience for these two, to where he recognized that trip, while he did a lot of work to get his relationship back to where he wanted it to be, and nor do I see myself as a marriage counselor or anything like that. Situation. But we created an environment where these two were able to reconnect in a way to where the trip didn't become a place for them to plan how to split up. It became a way for them to just reconnect and reforge their relationship and push forward. And to this day, they're happy, they're together, and so I like to take a little bit of credit for that. Maybe not all of it,
matchmaker.
But it does. When we do these things in our companies, it goes far beyond
sales
incentive. We have the opportunity to create amazing, life-changing, connecting experiences.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, one last just random question.
Okay.
If you could go anywhere in the world today, knowing where you've been and how where would you go? Where would you go, and then where would you recommend? Obviously, the average man.
Yeah, there's places I haven't been yet. One place I'm dying to go. I'd love to see China. I'd love to go see the Great Wall.
That's where I just went.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
So that is a place that I just haven't had the chance to go to yet. So that would be my bucket list.
And then where would you recommend? Obviously, you've traveled to some cool places. It's like somebody that's like, I don't even know where to start my bucket list.
Yeah.
Where would you give them?
Yeah. So let me give you the most political answer, and let me give you three.
Okay.
So, and let me break them up into different experiences. If you're looking to do Europe and have an amazing culinary, historical, cultural experience, for me, Ireland is just amazing. The people, the culture, the food, the sightseeing, medieval history, beautiful landscapes, golf, delicious food. Like it just has it all. If you're looking for tropical, I used to say Bora Bora, Tahiti, but I just went to Fiji in May, and Fiji is just incredible.
Yeah, we went there and did it wrong. We went to like an all-inclusive we were only there for like 3 days. It was like at the tail end of a 3-week vacation in New Zealand. And we were just like, we're just going to stay here in the resort. We went to one rugby match, and then we didn't really get to see the tropic.
That's cool.
But no, loved it. I mean,
yeah, the Fiji that we did, a couple different resorts, over-the-water bungalow hotel, that sort of thing, right? And then our favorite day was we took a jet boat up the Sigatoka River, way up into the interior, got off on a riverbank, hiked up about 300 or 400 yards to a village that has really only had electrical power for the last 5 or 6 years. We ate dinner or lunch with a Fijian tribe, with the whole kava ceremony. This is, if you're familiar with kava, they sit down, they have this powder made out of this root, they mix it up with water, and then it's just this whole musical, cultural experience that the village does together, and they offer it to you, and it doesn't taste great, but
this is the difference between my Fijian. It's an experience, right? For me, it was a vacation of 3 days at a hotel.
Yeah.
Yours was like Fiji experienced, and it's like, had I had some coaching, planning, know-how. I didn't even know that stuff existed.
Yeah.
But had I had a destinations, it would have been like, do this.
Yeah, that's what we love to create. Yeah, so the kava just takes the taste buds and just numbs everything in your mouth. And you come away from it saying, I just ate lunch with a Fijian village, and I can barely talk because my tongue is numb, and it was amazing, and everybody's talking about it after. My final one would just be the ultimate culture rush. Just last month, went to Thailand, and Chad in our office speaks fluent Thai. He's an amazing person to go with, just because, well, basically any trip with Chad to Thailand is completely magical because he can just
get you around.
He can get you around. He can get things ordered that are not on the menu. He can help with the spice levels of the food so that you don't maybe get blown out of the water with too much spice. But just the cultural experience, the beaches, and then the mountain region up north, the Buddhist temples, just the language, the people are so, it's called the land of smiles. They're just the friendliest.
Were you mostly in Chiang Mai, or where were you at?
So we went to Chiang Mai. So we started out in Bangkok and had 3 nights there. Did 3 nights in Chiang Mai, and then we flew down to Koh Samui, which is...
Is that south of Phuket?
Not quite. So it's on the other coast. It's an island, but it's on the other coast.
Did you go to Phi Phi at all?
No.
That was like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's so touristy, but it's still kind of
Still
like,
cool.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very cool. So yeah, that's
awesome.
That's my 3.
Okay, love it. You heard it first. Kip Lambert, you're the man.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
brother.
Great to be with you.
Yeah.